today. I appreciate that, and thanks for the shout out for some of my legislation too, for those of you that I do appreciate that very much. If I could start with Ms. Kondrack, I just want to mention one example of a school that was a community center before massive flooding hit on June 13th of last year, Taylor Elementary School in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Absolutely.
It was a wonderful, and in a low-income area of Cedar Rapids. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of different offices there. There's a WIC office, for example, and it was really wonderful. It's going to come back. It's going to reopen in the fall. There are going to be fewer students, maybe significantly fewer students, but it is going to come back. So I really appreciate your focus, obviously, on the community aspect. And if you want to, I'd like you to elaborate a little bit more. You weren't able to go perhaps as far as you'd like in response to Mr. Bishop's question.
Thank you very much, Congressman. I am aware of that school in Cedar Rapids, and it is a fantastic example of what can happen when a community rallies around a school, turns the school into a community, cares about the outcomes for kids, cares about quality teaching, but also cares about each other's lives. It's about that simple. And there are 14 million kids who need after-school care in this country today. What are they doing when they're not in school? Somebody mentioned the school calendar. I think it was Congressman Bishop, that we are out of school all summer because that's left over from the agricultural model. What are they doing with that time? Our school day is too short, our school year is too short to catch up with the rest of the world. So what are we doing with out-of-school time? We need enrichment programs in the after-school hours. Kids need chances to serve and find the resilience that comes with giving back. There are 9 million kids who don't have health care. Congress has taken steps to reauthorize CHIP and to expand that coverage. This is the kind of thing we have to pay attention to. And one last thing is truancy. You've asked what we can do. The data systems that we have all referenced here should include attendance. It is so fundamental. Nobody is following up on attendance and truancy. And what kids tell us is that tells them nobody cares if they're in school or not. So caring adults, this is part of the community supports we're talking about, and following up very simply on attendance. That is the best early warning indicator of a dropout.
Thank you. Mr. Weiss, Congressman Weiss, Governor Weiss, didn't have a chance to serve with you here, obviously, in this body, but thank you for being here today. I guess I'm very fortunate as a member of Congress in that there is no dropout factory in my particular district. We do have 9 of them in Iowa, I saw from the data that were provided. But I want to thank you, too, for mentioning my Secondary School Innovation Fund. I've gotten around my district a lot in the 2+ years that I've been in Congress, and there are a lot of good things happening in Iowa, as I'm sure is the case around the country, in terms of trying to come up with innovative programs that folks around the country can model, I would guess, or replicate, if you will. Can you elaborate a little bit on that particular aspect of your testimony?
Certainly, because your bill, and actually Congressman Holtz as well, as you know, portions of it are included in the stimulus package, but we want to make it permanent. For instance, what's happening in a number of examples, whether it's what Mr. Gordon's talking about, or if we're looking at something such as a high-tech high, or we're looking at another high school in San Diego that has very successful initiatives. We want to make, what is it that works for 500 students here or 50,000 across 10 school districts and can be replicated? And that's a very appropriate role for the federal government, particularly at this point, to be able to help states replicate what works. No state has, I think I can say safely, I know in my state, no state has the ability to do the kind of research, to do the kind of analysis of what's taking place in other areas. It's anecdotal. The federal government does have that ability, and so a combination of not only providing the research capability, the dissemination of that research, but also the ability to replicate innovative approaches, that's what's so critical. What we want to do with your legislation is take what clearly was established in the stimulus package and make it a permanent fixture.
And I just might comment, thank you very much. What my idea is not obviously to have an overly intrusive role on the part of the federal government. It's really to provide seed money in some ways, and to leverage local funds as well.
Yes.
So thank you very much, and I'll yield back. Now's my time. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you. Gentlelady from Ohio, Ms. Fudge.